Hey everyone, I'm out here in the garage, and what we're going to be doing today is starting to disassemble the cylinder heads on the 2008 Acura MDX. So stay tuned. So if you're new to the channel, I just want to welcome you here, and hopefully you'll consider subscribing if you like what you see. Also, check out Car Apprentice on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. I post lots of pictures and videos on those platforms before I post anything on YouTube. And occasionally I'll post things on those platforms I don't post on YouTube. Also, check out the website at carapprentice.com. And don't forget to hit the like button if you like this video. So what we're going to be doing today is taking apart the cylinder heads. And we'll also take a look at the engine block to try to figure out what happened here. So, let's get into it. Alright, so we've got the cylinder heads right here on the table. What we're going to do is we're going to assess, just kind of at a high level, we're going to assess this cylinder head. This one we know is pretty much okay. We're going to take a look at it anyway. And then we'll also take a look at the engine too. So I'm going to start here with the problem cylinder head. So you can see the valve cover's got a lot of oil on it, a lot of residue here. So you can see on this side of the valve cover there's a lot of soot buildup. So my understanding is that because of the PCV system on these cars, this cylinder head gets a lot more heat, and that's why it may look a little bit different from the other one. Inside the cylinder head, I can see quite a bit of sludge buildup. A lot of stuff in there. See that? So this is going to need a thorough cleaning. Right, so here is the intake side. You can see there's quite a bit of oil buildup. The intake valves themselves don't look too bad though. And there's nothing around the stems really. Okay, so here's what we can see so far on the exhaust side. This is cylinder number 5. You can see we've got quite a bit of buildup around the valve stem at the top there. So we probably have some bad valve seals in this cylinder that we can see so far. Alright, so here is the other side of the cylinder head, and as you can see, these exhaust valves are extremely toasty in cylinder number 4. Same thing in cylinder number 5. They're not quite as bad as here, but they are on their way out. And then cylinder number 6 looks pretty good. So we're basically confirming what we already saw on the borescope. You can see there's quite a bit of oil in here. A lot of oil buildup in these two cylinders. A little bit here. And just taking a quick look at the spark plugs. We're going to take these out later on. But the tips don't look too bad. Okay, so let's take a look at the rear cylinder head. You can see the valve cover doesn't look nearly as bad as the other one so far. Let's open it up. That's the inside. That looks fairly normal. And you can see this one also, like we talked about, is a little bit more of a golden brown color as opposed to a toasty brown color than the other one over here. We're going to take this one apart anyway, and most likely I'm going to replace at least the valve seals in here. We'll see if there's any other damage that we need to also rectify along the way. Okay, so here's the intake side of the rear cylinder head. Those valves look pretty good, at least here visually. Here's the exhaust side of cylinder number 2. See, we've got a little bit of buildup in there. Alright, so here is the other side of the rear cylinder head. Intake valves look really good, at least on this side of the cylinder head. So the exhaust valves, you can see there's a lot of oil residue in all cylinders. And the exhaust valves themselves don't look too bad. This one right here looks a little cooked. This one here is not bad. The rest are okay. So we may have more than just a couple cylinders worth of exhaust valves to replace. Okay, so we're going to take the rocker assembly off. Now we need to go around and loosen all these nuts here and then loosen the adjusting screws also. So every single one of these here. We do that first. 10 millimeters. I've got a large screwdriver. Just gonna go around and loosen all these up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to loosen all these bolts here, 2 turns at a time. There's a particular order, so I'll throw that up for you. And these are all 12 millimeters. Okay, so we're going to take a second spin around here. Go ahead and take these out now. Now we're not taking them out, we're just going to loosen them, take them out of the holes in here. We've got to leave them intact in the valve train though. It's like the pen was not letting go of it. Okay, so next I'm going to remove the camshaft. So we need to get this cover off. That's called the thrust cover. Turn these bolts off a little bit. That's a 12 millimeter. So I'm going to see if I can tap on the end of the camshaft on this side and pop this cover off using a rubber mallet. There we go. Just slide this out. And be a little more careful there. There's our camshaft. It's a little worn, doesn't look terrible. And there's our cap. This O-ring does need to be replaced, by the way. So that should be included in any cylinder head kit you get. Alright, so these are called the lost motion assemblies, as I understand them. A little bit worn on the top there. So I am going to replace all of these. I think they're like about 13 bucks a piece. So I'm going to replace all 3 in this cylinder head and then 3 in the other cylinder head. So just take these out, set those aside. So apparently these lost motion assemblies are part of the VTEC, which I don't know much about, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. Maybe I'll put some information in the description you can follow. I probably should have done this sooner, right before I took the cylinder heads out, but I'm going to take the spark plugs out right now too. Would have been a lot easier with the heads on the car. So these are kind of loose now. I think I did loosen them, at least. All right, so we are going to start removing the valves now. So I want to do this in order because especially on the intake side, the valves need to all go back in their original cylinders, in original locations. Cylinder number 4 right here, 5 and 6. These 4, those are going to be replaced. I'm probably going to keep these here. These are in pretty good shape. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to number this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm just going to use bags like this. This is number 1 right here. So I'm going to start with that one. So this is the tool that I'm going to use. It's called the Valve Master by Toyo Tool. So it's got 2 ends. It's got a removal end and an installation end. So this tool works on valves that have stems of 7.5 millimeters or less. So it's got a magnet in there. It's going to capture the cap and the keepers. So you can use a hammer on the end to hit it. I usually just press down. It takes a little bit of force to get these out, so whatever's going to work for you. Let's start with this one. Nice and centered over the valve. And then just press down. I got one keeper in there. So let me take that out before I lose it. That's in our tray here. Get the other one out and the cap. There we go. Take our cap off. And then our valve spring. All right, so there's a closer look at the valve seal on this valve. So we will take this off and take a closer look at it. All right, so I've got some valve seal pliers. I'm going to pull the valve seal off. Down in there. Get a good grip on it. There we go. All right, so you can see there's a little bit of buildup on top of the valve guide and what we're calling number 1. So I'm guessing that our valve seal has been leaking. Okay, let's go ahead and pull our valve out now. Just going to flip this up and then just slide it out. You can see how crusty it is around here. It appears that we've had some oil leaking down the stem is what I'm going to guess. It's one of the keepers. Try not to get in the way of the camera. It's kind of hard to do that though. Okay. Yeah, use it a quick motion. We'll get it out pretty easily. So we've got both keepers in here. Got the cap. Take our spring out. Okay, so there's the valve seal and the one we're calling 2. All right, so we're going to take this valve seal out. There is the one we're calling number 2. That's with the valve seal out. You can see there's quite a bit of debris up there on top of the valve guide. All right, let's take this one out. Yep, about the same. All right, so let's keep going. We're going to move on to number 3, which is right here. Okay, keepers are in there. Cap. Spring. I'm going to pull the seal out now. we go. That was a tough one. Same thing, debris around the top of the valve guide. Pull this out now. Ooh. One keeper. Same story. All right, so now we get to see what a good cylinder looks like. We're going to take this one off. This is number 5. That one's stuck on there. Well, that's a good sign. That's a good seal. There we go. Yeah, it doesn't look terrible. A little bit around here, not too much, not too bad. Let's take this one out. Let's take a look at the bores here. We've got 4, 5, and 6. Okay, so I'm just going to do the intake side off camera. Okay, so here's an intake valve that's really clean. And even the valve guide looks clean too. All right, so I'm taking a look at the valve seats now, which is this area right here, this ring area. This is cylinder number 4. Looks kind of rough there. Intake side looks just fine. This is number 5. It's a little better. And number 6. That actually looks pretty good, from what I can tell. Okay, so here is the cylinder head for the rear. The only thing that's left in here is the valve guides. Camshaft is right here. Camshaft looks pretty good. I don't see any major wear anywhere, so that's good. The one thing I'm starting to question a little bit is some of these valves I pulled out of the cylinder head in the rear. That's 15. You kind of see the edge is a little bit, like it's almost like it's chipped or something. 16. 16 is this one. You can see right there a little bit of chipping on the edge there. So I'm probably going to have a lot more exhaust valves than I thought to replace. Alright, so here's the rear cylinder head. This is cylinder number 3. Actually, sorry, cylinder number 1. Let's look at the engine block. All the pistons have carbon buildup, which is normal for 167,000 miles. The piston in cylinder 4 has a shiny area where there is no carbon buildup. This appears to indicate that oil is escaping past the rings and cleansing the piston in that area. Most of the cylinder walls have at least minor scuffing. I suspect that the rings have become clogged with buildup, causing friction. There is very minimal scoring, so it seems that there are no broken piston rings. If there were heavy scoring, we would have to dump this engine block. We'll take a closer look later when we remove the pistons. Alright, so there you have it. Just a preliminary look at the cylinder heads and the engine block for the 2008 Acura MDX. So as you saw here, it appears that we actually have some leaky valve seals. We could have some other issues. We're going to investigate a little bit further because I'm not thoroughly convinced at this point that the valve seals were our only issue. We also took a look at the engine block and found that cylinder number 4, there's a shiny spot on top of the piston. So that would seem to indicate that we have some piston ring issues going on in cylinder number 4 in particular. So hopefully this information was helpful, and thanks for watching.